as a service to the greater good and the extermination of
Hush, hush. It's yours then. Eat, child. You'll feel better when it's done. I don't like this game anymore, Mother. Mother.
Here's another hot one.
Your binding is no curse, my loves. It is your strength to draw upon. Good evening, wanderers. I have gathered you here to talk about something sort of almost kind of near and dear to the channel. So for those who don't know, I, SeeNog, am a Twins Main. Shocker, I know. You know, twins, the two killers, the killer and a half that you maybe counter once every other month. Anyway. I don't, maybe you can see the top left of my screen, but something really cool is about to happen today, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm really proud of it. But I'm about to finalize or cement my Twins maindom. And I wanted to share it with you guys. And this is gonna sound crazy. I've actually went on a walk the other day and I came up with 50 reasons that I like twins. Yes, 50, one for each level of the blood web. And so I'm going to try to go through it very carefully. I might even record this intro a couple times because the way I'm recording, I may only get to do it once. But hey, you only prestige your favorite killer to 100 once per account anyway, but I only have one account. I don't know anyone crazy enough to make 2 accounts just to prestige twins on both of them. Or maybe I do. Anyway, but here goes. So level by level, 50 things I like about twins. I hope you enjoy. Oh boy, here we go. It's really happening. Okay. And oh boy. Okay, only one shot to do this. All right. Number 1. I wrote 2 and 1 killers. And this is because twins, well, commonly associated with being 2 and 1. Well, again, technically, Victor is just a killer power, so it might be like a killer and a half, honestly. But being able to control 2 entities for the price of 1, really fun, really fun. Can't complain. And then I think that's all I have to say on number 1. So let's go ahead and ooh. Oh boy, yep. Okay, and then now, number 2. Victor's latch on a healthy survivor is hilarious. To me, it's the funniest interaction that DBD has to offer, at least right now. And second funniest is a trapper, like a survivor stepping in a bear trap. I find that really hilarious. But the funniest interaction to me is Victor latched on a healthy survivor, and the survivor is just like desperate. Get him off me. It's too funny. All right, so here's number 2. There it goes. Okay, here we go. Number 3. I wrote here that they are mean but lovable. And if you look at Charlotte and Victor, very mean pair of killers. Absolutely, probably not the meanest, honestly, far from it. But they, of course, they're killers of Dead by Daylight. But they, combined with their past and then their current, perception from the DVD player base right now, they are, without a doubt, like every part of them, they are a very mean killer to go against. But at the same time, they are very, very lovable. As in, like, again, you can't help but feel for Charlotte's struggles, and then Victor is too adorable. I don't think I need to say more of the matter. So, and now level 4. Oh, by the way, these are not, like, my list is not in, like, any particular order, just a heads up. Now, number 4, they are unlike any other killer. Even after the addition of Knight and even Houndmaster, other killers that one would consider having multiple entities in one as part of their playstyle, gameplay, they are still extremely, extremely unique killers. And for better or worse, Behavior has not released another killer that's anything like twins. And I don't think I could have it any other way. Now, level 5. Now, Blood Bond, just saying, Blood Bond is a very, very badass name for a power. Like, hold on, is that the power name? Let's see. Blood Bond, yeah. I don't think I could think of a cooler name for the power myself, but Blood Bond is very badass, and that's another likable thing to like about twins, so then. Now, level 6. Victor is super fast, especially when you use, I think it's a Scarf add-on and then the Stew add-on. He becomes like faster, almost one of the fastest you can have a killer or killer power move at. I think only Blight's Lethal Rush is probably as fast, not faster. Maybe Chucky's Scamper. And then there's Hag with her dancing shoes. I'm not going to count Nurse, because Nurse just blinks. She doesn't necessarily run, but she blinks, so we already know Nurse is overpowered and everything. Just go ahead and Behavior to ship Nurse off to the Olympics already. Alright, so level 7. And that is Victor can get downs very quickly, to the point, like, again, if you're not paying attention, you could have just been injured by Charlotte, and then like 3 seconds later, if you're not paying attention, Victor's right on you and downs you. It's absurdly quick. Probably not the fastest down, but that's why I said Victor can get downs very quick, not necessarily Victor and Charlotte together. But again, with the Victor being able to get downs really quick is insane, in my opinion. And I think it's really noteworthy to how strong they are. Now, let's go to level 8. It's really hard to counter a good Victor, a good Twins in general. It's really hard to counter. Now, you can use the buddy system. And then on top of that, everyone, and I'm going to talk about this later probably, but everyone likes to hold a finger to their slugging, but you have to really be coordinated to counter good Twins. You have to be coordinated to counter any good killer, but this is especially true for Twins. And then on top of that, the buddy system, knowing when to hang on to Victor can help. But there's a lot that goes into Twins, such as knowing when to hang on to Victor and when to force Charlotte to call him back. Using the buddy system so that way a teammate who has Victor latched on isn't as vulnerable as they should be. And then there's also the mindset you really want to stay healthy. Like your whole team wants to stay healthy as possible, otherwise Victor could just maul it all over your team. But there's a lot that goes into countering Twins, so and it's why it can be really hard to counter them, in my humble opinion. And now we're here at level 9. We all remember the high MMR of monsters. I don't even like MMR. It's like such a convoluted number. I never really buy into like an invisible number and just sure, whatever. It's like a representation of your skill, but we only latch on to the invisible MMR being because we as Dead by Daylight players desperately want like something to display our stats, and the only thing we can grasp onto is the MMR. But so I think that's why I think I just said my piece on MMR, love it or hate it. But the whole high MMR monsters meme is really hard to forget, and it's just like probably one of the nicest things devs have gone on record to say in Twins for the longest time. So even if it ends up being a meme, it's still a really nice compliment. So I'll hold a candle to that. High MMR monsters, let's go. Now, level 10, and I'm probably going to take a short break so I can check the recording, but level 10 is then, they are the reason that I bought DBD when I first started playing, and it's just that I was curious about Dead by Daylight for a little bit, but then I saw like a killer like Twins was out, and oh my god, with their power and how adorable Victor is. But that's when I started playing, was when Twins was just recently launched, and so I missed the tail end of how messy their and maybe this could have influenced my opinion, but I just missed the tail end of how messy their launch actually was. Their PTB was, or at least back then I didn't even know what a PTB was, though, to be fair. So, but they're like the final hay on the camel, the broke the camel's back on the camel's back, of course, being the rabbit hole that sucked me into Dead by Daylight. But like they were the final piece of resistance. Okay, now I'm just gonna check the recording real quick. Okay, I think I can make it work. It's all good, it's all good. Now, let's go to level 11. Now, level 11 I wrote one of the first DLC killers I ever bought. Oh, wait. So I guess this is an extension of level 10. But, yeah, the only other, like, when I first started playing, the killers I really wanted was Twins and Pick. So I think I was really intimidated to try Twins, but that was just because back then, the killers actually had a tier ranking for each killer. It tells you, they may still have it now, I don't think they do anymore. No, they got rid of it. So for those who don't know, back then killers used to have a tier ranking with their description that told you whether this killer was easy, medium, or hard. And the survivors had one too. The survivors was really weird because 90% of survivors just showed easy, 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 easy. It's like, I think it was it was really weird. Like, why are you gonna include that? In the end, just like, and it's also subjective because what makes a killer hard for one person could be easy for another person. So it's just really hard to group a killer like that. And then twins being a class on their own, of course they're gonna be hard, but it was made even funnier because of their perks being notoriously like beginner friendly. But anyway, I think I digress. So let's go on to, now that I've mentioned the first, I did digress, dang ADHD. So let's go to level 12. Now, level 12 we have, that I wrote, the strongest add-on they have is a toy sword. Like a toy sword. Do I have it here? No, dang it, it's not in here. Pity. But now the toy sword is probably still one of their best add-ons, and it allows Victor to shorten the time he needs to charge up a pounce. And he used to be like really reliant on this add-on because charging up a pounce was like nuts, because every time you tried to charge up a pounce, then boom, a survivor could go around the corner, or heaven forbid another short rock. Now they can still do this. It's a really good way to counter twins. They can still do this, but it's not as bad as it was now that they've had some quality of life adjustments, and that it's easier to charge Victor's pounce than it was before. But now the toy sword still drives the home to help him make his charge really fast, and it's really good for helping Victor lay down the offense that he needs when you, because one of the downsides about twins is that you're committing a lot of time to use your power when you're using Victor. Even if you want to move him a ways away, just to have him stand somewhere, that still takes a lot of, I could still commit a lot of time with Charlotte just doing nothing. So it's really important to be able to get as much value from Victor as possible, and the toy sword is one of the factors that really helps him do that. Now, let's go to level 13. This could be fun. Let's see, level 13. I wrote, here's the toy sword. Where were you last level? Anyway, they have all kinds of gross add-ons like fingernails, cat's eyes. Like even right here, like this is pretty nasty. Sewer sludge. A disgusting sticky mixture that covers the déchets during escape attempt through the city sewers. So pretty nasty. Yeah, but it's a culmination of all the really bad things they've had to go through. Right here you have like a rusted needle. That's kind of gross, but it was just used. No, actually, this is actually one of the more wholesome add-ons. And Azerov's key. I'm just kidding. No, that's not one of their add-ons. But was this one pretty gross? Not really. But yeah, they have some pretty really out there add-ons. Probably not the most insane. No, actually, that is pretty insane, because one of them is a fingernail. Like, the only other killer to have, like, an actual fingernails as an add-on is probably Sadako. But, of course, that's another thing they have in common, is that the fingernail, they both have fingernail add-ons, and the add-ons are, fingernails are surprisingly useful, even though they're just torn off fingernails. And I think I'll go to the next level before all I keep talking about is fingernails. Okay, now, level 14. I wrote, they are highly memeable characters, and I sort of stand by with them being highly memeable. Anyone who's been on my channel may have noticed that I like to make shorts around these characters. I absolutely find their potential dynamic hilarious. Being, you know, these sort of not only conjoint twins, but also like imagining like their everyday interaction. Like, do they get along all the time? Do they occasionally fight? Do they have disagreements? Or I like to joke that Victor often gets himself in a lot of trouble. Sometimes I like to joke that everyone hates him for it, but it's so funny. I think I said all I need to say on level 14. Let's go to level 15. Now, with level 15, I just wrote underdogs. And they're absolutely the underdogs, probably the underdogs of underdogs. Because, again, such a few people actually dedicating themselves to main twins. But also, again, they don't have the most positive disposition. And what's even crazier now is with the current cast of killers we have being as large as it is, there's certainly, like, if it's a funny representation of, how do I want to put this analogy? It's like they need a lot of help because they have so many bugs, but then all of a sudden there's always another killer that needs more attention. So they sort of like the awkward middle child, and being one of the middle characters to release, I think they can really emphasize on that. I can't relate to being the middle child, unfortunately, but like I think that's the best analogy I can come up with. But another reason why they're underdogs, they're always, looked down upon. Like, while they're very strong, like, you don't constantly see people singing praises about twins left and right. No, but they'll sing praises about Blight and Nurse. No, I'm just teasing. And then, of course, their pick rate being as low as it is probably contributes to them being underdogs as well. Now, let's go to level 16. And for level 16, oh yeah, this is a good transition. Twins are super rare. I love how rare they are, and the rareness actually comes back to haunt me, because a lot of players, even though they've been playing Dead by Daylight for a long time, probably not even encountered twins yet, probably. But with how rare they are, and how low their pick rate is, it's actually really astounding. And sometimes it bites survivors back in the butt, because then survivors go up against twins for the first time, they don't know how to counter them at all because they have no experience, or they have very little experience. I swear, some survivors I chase don't even act like you can kick Victor. I'm worried they don't even know that. But then, my other secret theory is that no one wants to be that mean to Victor all the time, so who knows. Now, if we go to level 17... kicking Victor feels mean, but it's super funny. It's a really mean thing to do to the poor guy. He misses a pounce. He has invested so much energy and hope into that pounce, and then boom, you just kicked him in his face. Way to go, you jerk. Anyway, but being that it is actually a really funny interaction as well, and it sort of kind of brings one of my earlier points with him latching on the survivors full circle. And as funny as kicking Victor is, it's really essential for, like, if you need to get the twins off of you. So it's just like, you have to hurry, and if they miss a pounce, you need to get them off, you have to hurry and kick Victor. Now, what's nice is that kicking Victor, being kicked, is not as punishing as it feels at first, because you actually get Victor back just like that. Not long at all. And then all of a sudden, you're back right at it again. But I don't know, until let's see. As of right now, it's just like it's a necessary evil to have in countering twins. You want to get Victor off of you, you have to kick him if he misses a pounce. Or if the player leaves him unattended for too long and doesn't switch back to him, you have to kick him. Let's go to level 18. Now, watching a survivor hold on to Victor while the whole team is healthy is funny to me. Like, how, I guess you must be really bored, but like, I don't know if you've ever done this, but held on to Victor. Now, when I hold on to Victor, it's because I'm throwing the game as Survivor. It's because I want to hog Victor to myself and I want to throw, just so I can keep him. Like, notice what I'm saying here, throwing. Say, if you hold on to Victor, sure, you're holding on to Charlotte's only power, but like, you can't even hold Twins hostage anymore because you got to understand, after 15 seconds or so, Charlotte can call Victor back anytime he wants. So try to understand, if you're holding on to Victor for like minutes at a time, it's not because you're countering their power, it's because the player's letting you hold on to Victor now. And then you're incapacitated. Like, Twins introduced something called incapacitation as a status effect, and when Victor's latched onto you, you can't do nothing for the most part. You can maybe drop a pallet, but you can't use your item. You can't repair gens. You can't heal someone. You can't get healed. So you're spending a lot of time committing doing nothing for your team. So the longer you hold on to Victor, the longer Charlotte gets a 3v1. Or just that -1 survivor who can't really do anything. And sure, she's an M1 killer, but I mean, so is like, let's see, so is Trapper or Clown, but no, Trapper would probably be more funny. Like, just saying, a killer has a strong grasp of the M1 basics. When it comes to Twins, they're not gonna mind that you hold on to Victor for that extra few seconds. But ideally, if your team is healthy, you don't want to hold on to Victor. Now, if everyone was injured, I can understand holding on to Victor, because then that's delaying the Twins' ability to snowball. So that makes more sense. Even then, nowadays, with Charlotte being able to call Victor back whenever she wants, it's probably incentivized to call Victor back as quickly as possible. But oh, and if Charlotte's chasing you, don't then don't try to get Victor off of you, because when you do, then it just stops you. The interaction stops you, and Charlotte can get an easy hit on you. Okay, let's see, level 19. Ah, okay, this one might be a fun one. So for this one, I wrote, Twins can be stealthier than Ghostface with the right build. Now, Ghostface is a stealth killer, but probably not the epitome of stealth. The epitome of stealth probably goes to Wraith, but I don't think anyone can out-stealth Wraith. I'm not going to go there. Now, but with the right build, particularly an add-on called Silencing Cloth, Charlotte will... It only lasts like 20 or so seconds, but Charlotte will spend a lot of time without their terror radius every time she emerges back from controlling Victor. And it's really cool to think about, or to realize, to capitalize on this stealth, because you're almost, let's see, I don't want to say tier 1 Myers, but tier 1 Myers without the setback. And all you have to do is just use your power, or all you have to do is just pull out Victor or switch to him. And if you really wanted to, you could just switch him like a light switch, like terror radius, go to sleep, terror radius off, switch back to Charlotte. But when you combine that with how much Victor can really do for you, then there is a really good chunk of, not needing, let's see. It really is a good opportunity for Charlotte to be so sneaky that without her terror radius, every time she wakes up. But it falls in that group of add-ons like, oh, Chucky doesn't get his terror radius back after he comes from Scamper, Hidey-Ho, or Right Away, or Wraith is still undetectable for another second, but instead, like, Charlotte takes this idea with the stealth add-ons to its extreme by pushing it to 20 seconds. And then that's just half of it. Now the other half, if you combine it with just at least one stealth perk. I am a fan of like Unforeseen to cover the other half. to really help alternate between, you know, moments of using your power and then moments of needing to roam around as Charlotte. But other good examples of stealth perks might include... I don't want to say, like... Dark Devotion could be a good example, but a lot of what could happen with Dark Devotion is that if you hit the obsession with Victor, then you're kind of eating at your value with Silence and Cloth. So at least Unforeseen you can use at the moment you want it by finding a gen to kick. Now, Furtive Chase could be another good example, because then, like, if you hook the obsession, but then again, you have to find the obsession. Now, but with Furtive Chase, that hooking the obsession is something that Charlotte is in control of, and that's Charlotte's responsibility because she's the one that hooks survivors. And it could take you a moment to walk over to the obsession if you just down them, or actually capitalize on downing them if they're injured. So it's like that kind of flow there, like creating time for Silencing Cloth to do its thing so you don't eat at its own value, but then having another stealth perk to maximize, you know, the idea of moving around Charlotte without a Twins terror radius on. Okay, now it's time for level 20. Ah, yes, okay. This is where we talk about level 20 really weird skin. Now, Charlotte and Victor do not get a lot of skins. Actually, Victor doesn't get any. In their like 5 years of being in Dead by Daylight, Victor doesn't even get so much as a hat. Like, come on, what's going on behavior? But Charlotte at least gets some awesome skins. Like very early on, she gets like this morning skin for Victor, then a really cute nature skin from some very good... Okay. This was an artist skin, right? Or am I crazy? Here's a more recent goth skin, a collab skin. For some reason it comes with a third girl attached to her. I never really understood that, but I was all for it when she goes goth. And then here's he gets two versions of this. The stowaway skin. This was a battle pass or rift skin. But she's like a little sailor. In the with it being inspired of Charlotte and Victor dreaming that they could just sail away from all their problems. And the most recent one is a really good one, Harrowing Time, where Charlotte becomes like a sort of monk or sage, if you will. And then we have, okay, now this one I think was an artist skin. This one was really creepy. But I like combining the headpiece with other body types, and then the weapon's really scary. The weapons I think might be antlers or more bones as well, but they're just covered in bones. But yeah, they end up having some really rich skins. Oh, and then in case that wasn't crazy enough for you, here's one where they're covered in blood and guts. I don't know what more you could ask for. Oh, well, I do know what more you can ask for, actually. Let Victor have a hat. Like, seriously, I've always wanted to see him dressed up as a little teddy bear. Well, let Victor have a goddamn hat or something. And don't tell me, like, oh, it's the power. They can't put a skin on the power. They threw that out the window with Houndmaster. So I don't want to hear it. Okay. Okay. Now that this isn't fun, I'm going to see if I can't go through some more of these reasons a little quicker. Now, number 21. Am I on 21? Oops. Let's see. Okay. Now, level 21. One of the hardest killers to watch a dev's balance. It's kind of really funny. For whatever reason, whenever the devs attempt to address twins, usually the game, for whatever reason, just blows up. So it's kind of hilarious that such a complex killer can cause all these issues, apparently. But say what you will, I don't think they could ever be as bad as Nemesis Launch. That was not fun to play, in my opinion. Okay, now 22. Coup de Grace is a really fun and easy perk to put on most killers. Most fun killers. Just about any killer can utilize Coup de Grace. And it's really fun to just actually reach out a little bit further than the survivor is expecting to get that extra hit in. And then 23, Oppression can replace Ruin if you know what you're doing. Oppression is almost like if you took Ruin but you removed it back as a Hex and set it with a Gen perk. Now, with Oppression, if you build up pressure and you are aggressive enough to the point where you can keep survivors off gens, it's going to be really tricky to do, but then just by putting in one gen kick, you can actually bypass. You can actually get a lot of gen regression in because you're taking them all off gens. To do this though is really tricky because it's something as a killer you have to learn to do. Any killer can do this, but you have to pressure the survivors, get them on hook, get them on the ground, get them whatever you can do to get them preoccupied off of gens. But once you have attempted to get them off gens, that is the time to strike with oppression, in my opinion. Now, are there better gen regression perks? Probably, absolutely. But again, just with oppression being able to be a swap out for a Ruin, it can't be understated. And then 24. Now, Hoarder, while very niche, is good on most item builds. Now, a lot of what you're saying, like Hoarder, you don't want to run Hoarder because gives the survivors more chests to open, but that's also more opportunities for Hoarder to proc. And the chest doesn't sound crazy, but you gotta try to understand is like the chest is an unnecessary side objective, and if you tempt survivors away from gens with the chest, and then you're alerted that they're going after the chest, that's more information for you. It's also less time they're on gens. So really, you should only really fear that downside of them getting more items if you're afraid of, again, distracting survivors from gens with your perks. To be honest with you, I particularly don't really fear the down. I'm not really like all mad at the downside. You can even call it a downside of Hoarder. Now, okay, we're on 25. Level 25. Victor could be used in so many ways. So many ways. He offers a lot of really utility, and I might go in that more detail in the next few reasons. But very few killer powers can say how can offer a lot of different uses. Like can say they're as much as viable as have many uses as Victor does. For example, trapper traps. They can only be used one way. You have to chase the survivor into them. They may get stuck. You make it if you're nearby. You get rewarded with a free down. But they might, if you're really creative, trapper traps could have only one more use, and I suppose that you could distract survivors by resetting them maybe, or letting them get reset, or maybe it depends on what add-ons you put on them, and they can help you injure survivors. But really, Victor doesn't need any other add-ons to have as many uses as he does. Now, in fact, let's talk more in detail about what uses Victor does have with the next few reasons. So 26. Victor is a really great follow-up after injuring a survivor. Now, one of the most basic things you can do to learn twins, in my opinion, is learning to strike a survivor, injure them with Charlotte, and then follow up, use Victor. You can track them with their blood if necessary, but then if you are quick enough, Victor can easily turn that injury into a down. And learning this flow can be really good for getting used to switching to and from twins and learn how to play them, in my opinion. And then 27, Victor becomes a mini radar. So you can leave Victor in an area to help you detect survivors, and Victor will detect them even if they're really good at hiding. Now, if they're crouched, it's going to be another story, but if they're trying to hide behind an obstacle or trying to hide in a locker, then Victor will show them to you, or if they're even on a gen. And it becomes funnier when you have multiple floors involved, because then it becomes a matter of in some cases, survivor may not fully realize, even if they hear Victor's grunts, they may not realize they're being tracked. It really depends. But yeah, if you hear Victor's grunts and you're standing up, then Charlotte can see where you are. Sorry to break it to you guys this way, but you weren't really that stealthy. No, I'm just kidding. Now let's talk about 28. Victor can watch a gen for you, and if you leave Victor near a gen that's incomplete, he can help you build that gen while you go off and do other things. Maybe like go find someone else to beat up. You just gotta be careful. If you go too far from Victor, then sure, maybe you can get a latch on another healthy survivor or down someone, but you might not be able to aggressively defend that gen with just Victor alone. But Victor can be really good for monitoring that gen. You can monitor other things as well. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Okay, number 29, kind of mean, but level 29. Victor can help you camp, but you kind of have to leave him by the hook first. Now, is it really nice to do that? Probably not. Will survivors like it? No, they'll probably hate you for it, but if you leave Victor by a hook before you hook someone, he can help you observe that hook and then punish anyone, but a Victor latch is enough to stop someone from unhooking. I know I said earlier incapacitation can stop you do a lot of things, but I don't. Some may say it's a bug. I don't know if it's supposed to be a bug. It feels, after all this time, it feels pretty intentional, but I can see the reasoning behind it. But Victor, I don't think should be, to my knowledge, is able to stop you from unhooking. And maybe if you rush to get the hook, I don't know, because I've seen it so many times where I thought like, oh, I can get Victor to stop this guy from unhooking, but then like right as I'm latching onto him, the survivor is still able to unhook their teammate. So I'm thinking like, okay, but I guess I'll just have to do some more testing. But with the mini radar alone, Victor is still more than enough to help you camp and punish someone who goes up to a survivor to unhook them. Sure, they may have got the unhook, but then they still have to contend with you and the teammate they just rescued being injured. If they don't split up, they're grouped together. And if Charlotte decides to come back to that area, then that is a potential snowball if they stay close together. Plus, I don't even know if Victor triggers the anti-camp mechanic. I guess we'll have to see. I'll have to do some testing on that. Now, level 30 is that Victor can be left on high grounds to watch for movement when you switch to him. Victor, you can leave him on a hill, maybe even leave him on the second floor next to a window to look out of, or next to a drop location. And it can help you watch high traffic areas. And then if you really know what you're doing, he can help you set up ambushes. We might talk about that later, but with how fast he is, you can leave him in certain key locations to scout for you. So just observe. You don't even have to like move him all that aggressively, but you can just like use him to take a quick peek when you want to get another vantage point. And he can observe for you if you switch to him. Then let's talk about level 31. This has to be one of my favorite things to do in a chase, but Victor can body block pallets and other areas to great effect. You can put in front of a window, a vault location the survivor will not to use, and if they're not paying attention, they will, and if you're quick about it, they will let you. They will not react as you move Victor to an ideal location to body block, and then they will have to, if they want to take advantage of that pallet or window, if you positioned him right, they will have to kick Victor out of the way, and when you kick Victor and Charlotte's like right behind you, you're essentially succumbing to that hit. It's not a question of if anymore, it's a question of how fast can Charlotte get behind you and beat you down. So now probably the only way to avoid is like if you spot this, see this coming, like again hold W to the next loop. But then if the Twins player sees you doing that, then it's very possible that they just watched you go out of position, and then all of a sudden Victor's after you again, and now you have to contend with Victor instead of Charlotte. So either you get body blocked by Victor at a pallet, or Victor chases you down out of position, and if you're not careful, you don't have any cover to protect yourself. That's always fun. Oh, okay, so 32, this is a... Oh, no, I'm confused. What did I write here? Twins has an amazing... yes, has an amazing Terror Radius track. No, I actually like the Twins Terror Radius music. It's very, oh, there's something not unholy, it's like... It's very, like, almost... It's unjustifiably sinister to give them such a crazy track as they have. It's really diabolical, and it sets up some really mean, like, to go along with their chases. But I think it does a really good job of encompassing that layer of personality the Twins have, where they have to watch out for everyone that's came to hunt them, and all of a sudden, and they're in a world where now they're the ones doing the hunting, and all the sad, tragic themes that can come with that. But then also really does a good job. The track does a really good job of encompassing that feeling of, you know, being labeled as like demons from birth. So it's just really cool that they're of all the things that I wish I could change about Twins, their music has never been one of them, so that's great. This is a good segue into 33. 33, truly one of the most tragic killers. Very few killers are more tragic than Twins, I feel. Maybe Artist, maybe Hag, though, I don't know, depending on which lore you read, we might not even have, like, we might not even know who actually is Hag, so it's weird. But, then you have, who else could be more tragic than Twins? It's really, really tough to call. Maybe Spirit. Oh, shh. Okay, I guess my cat wants to say something about Twins. What do you want to say about Twins? Really? Is that right? Any final thoughts? This has been Twins from the perspective from my cat, Pam. Okay. Now, good thing I also have what level I'm on. Yeah, but now my point is, very few killers are more tragic than Twins. Maybe Spirit, maybe Artist. But it's really tough to call. Now, level 34. Now, their mother was truly their savior. Since birth, she had to fight tooth and nail to defend them, and then eventually was burned quite literally at the stake for having birthed the Twins. Really sad, but truly probably exemplary mom, and has been able to defend her twin children and trying to raise them best you could, assuring them that no, your bond is not a curse, it is a gift. Truly exemplary mom right there. Now, 35. They were outcasts since birth. Since birth, they were labeled demons, heretics of evil, and had to fight for their place in the world. But and what part of that tragedy with twins is that they never really could fit in anywhere, and I really think that is something that can be relatable, and it's definitely something to sympathize with when you think about twins, in my opinion. Now, let's see. 36 in the tome lore. Let's see. Charlotte rips out a man's neck. Really funny. Probably a tad underwhelming. I really thought it was big. I think it was just a callback to Victor's Mori, really, because Victor does the same thing. But in that same tome lore, where she really gets the sailor outfit, while being chased by a hunter, she was trying to get him away from him, and she decided she had enough, so she just like fights him off and rips his neck out. Yeah, and that's all there is to say to it. I think that is really cool. Now, number 37. We're progressing along the blood web smoothly. We'll be P100 before we know it. 37. Victor chews out next in their Mori. Yeah. So if you have Victor equipped when you Mori someone, Charlotte will give Victor the okay to finish off the survivor, and Victor will rip their flesh off and then bite their own neck to finish them off. And so, let's go on to 38. Oh yes, twins have 2 Mori. Now, Charlotte's Mori without Victor, this was really clever, because if you have a Mori dedicated to using both twins, both Charlotte and Victor, but then if you don't have Victor equipped, what are they going to do with the Mori? So then, giving Charlotte her own Mori is really smart, but it's also, her own Mori is also really brutal. She shows that she can finish off the survivor just fine on her own. And she's also really smart. She actually, as mean as this is, she double, triple taps to make sure they're down. So, which I think is, considering their situation, probably really, really smart to do. Mean, definitely brutal to watch, but really smart to do. And then, let's go to 39. This goes back to, sorry, like again, these aren't no in particular order, but this goes back to Victor could be sent out to scout for survivors at any time. And then, like earlier, I was describing ways that you could scout for you, like watching a gem, looking at the high ground. But at any time, even at the beginning of the match, you can send out Victor to scout for survivors to get your first latch in. I think I've said all there is to say. Like the fact, but again, really useful way to use Victor. Again, if you need to hurry to find someone, try to send out Victor, and he can scurry around. You control him to scurry around for a bit, and you should be able to find someone, maybe. Now, level 40. Oh, we're almost there. Level 40. They are still very strong killers despite all their setbacks, and in some regions consider twins S tier. Now, by this, I was probably referring to maybe the Japanese region players. Maybe it's only one player. Like again, you can't expect every player from a region to agree on all the same things. It's all very subjective. But some regions don't just consider twins A tier, they consider S tier, and they're very, very powerful killers, and especially now with all the quality of life updates they've gotten this past year, they're in a really good spot, and I could not be happier. And then let's talk about 41. Level 41, they are very destructive to uncoordinated teams, and this sort of brings back full circle the idea of how they're hard to counter. Again, it's all very undestructive. If the teams are uncoordinated, they don't want to heal against Victor, or if they want to stay grouped up for too long, then you have an issue where Victor can just steamroll them. Or if the opposite could happen, if instead of saying one to group up, if they want to run off on their own while they have Victor attached, they may not realize, without that coordination, they may not realize they're running right into Charlotte. So, I say uncoordinated teams, but this is just my nice way of saying that they're really destructive against solo queue teams. Now, as we all know, what could be good against solo queue can be very trash poor against Swifts, but no, they can hold their own against Swifts too, which is really nice. Let's try going to level 42. Now, level 42, as they are right now, I wrote that they are the second best kill at slugging. They used to be really, peak slugging, but I've come to realizing that there's at least one or maybe two killers that are better at slugging. At one point, I thought, Freddy, at his current form, is really good at slugging because of his power incentivizes, but they may have toned that down a little bit. Right now, I recognize that the champion sluggers probably goes to Singularity. Because at least if Singularity, Twins, they are really good at slugging. What people don't realize, though, is that they're glass cannon sluggers. Victor is really good at slugging, but Charlotte is so vulnerable to anti-slug perks. Because in the time it takes for Charlotte to capitalize and pick up on Victor's down, the survivors could have picked up their friend and undid all the hard work you did. But at least with Singularity and the right build, Singularity can force so much value from the slug to the point where it can even be more beneficial than him hooking. So as of right now, I consider Twins currently the second best slugger in the game. And there's some other good examples too, which could make them. And it's still subjective. Maybe even Bubba is better at slugging than Twins, just because. Or Hillbilly, because then they have one-shot powers, but at least, Victor's faster, and he can capitalize. And when it's injured, then it's a whole different ballpark, because then what's the point of using a chainsaw to one-shot an injured survivor? Maybe just for fun, but other than that. Now, if we go to 43, yes, okay. Glass cannon killers, specifically at slugging, but they're really good also, really vulnerable to anti-slug perks. Yep, we talked about this, so being glass cannons as we are, I realize that this can apply to more than just their slugging though, after thinking about it, and they have the ability to dish out so much damage, but then if the survivors commit to resetting and staying healthy, then they can easily turn the game around, in my opinion. Now, there's still, Twins still really awesome to go against, really crazy to go against. A good Twins, really strong, but again, some guidelines we talked about earlier, you got to keep healthy, and you got to buddy up when necessary, and when that happens, you create a lot of pushback that can allow you to turn a game around against a good Twins when that begins to happen. But it's because of this, again, that theme of glass being a glass cannon, really powerful, but also can be really vulnerable. Kind of like ice-type Pokemon. Maybe not every ice-type Pokemon, but you get what I mean. Now we have here 43. So close. 43. Wait. Oh, sorry. 44. I can't count. Level 44, survivors that pair up can counter Twins, which I think is a bit poetic. And there's something really, really kind of beautiful, almost, and when you play as Twins, when you're trying to counter Twins, if you pair up, you're much better against, you're much safer against Victor. In pairs of 2. It takes 2 to counter Twins, in my opinion. Now, you could group up in 3, but then that's 3 people, you're kind of eating at your own time and value that could be put on gens. One of you, if you're in groups of 3 trying to counter Victor, one of you could be on a gen. Try to realize that one of you can afford to be on a gen. Yes, even Pam agrees. One of you could be on a gen, right? Now, And then 4 people, then if 4 people, if you're all dedicated countering Victor, like, then no one's on gens, and then I just have more time to get back at you with Victor, so it's whatever. Whatever. But, or I'll just, if I don't want Victor to be, you know, erased right away, then I'll just latch onto a healthy survivor, and then I still got one of y'all injured, and y'all probably going to split up at that point anyway. So at that point, like, what was the point of grouping up like that? So yeah, 2. 2 ideally, it takes 2 to counter twins. 2 to tango, 2 to counter twins. I hate giving up all my twins countering secrets for y'all, but I do love twins, so it's all good. And maybe then I'll finally learn how to play around it if I talk about it some more. Okay. Let's talk about 45. 45. Twins require a very distinctive selection of perks, so you have to be really careful to really get good perks on twins. You have to be really selective. So let's talk about they are used. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want to talk about all of it right away because they are. That's some of my next few reasons, but some good examples are, you got to bear in mind that a lot of, for example, aura perks may not work as well on twins unless you want to commit less to using your power, which I don't, as a twins man, I don't want to tell you to do. Because depending on when the aura procs, you, for example, human greed, it's a fun meme perk in my opinion on twins, but if you put it on twins, then you could easily, because Victor can't see most auras. 99% of auras Victor can't see. Maybe the auras of gens, that's it. But Victor can't see survivor auras. So what ends up happening is that human greed could proc while you're in Victor, and you would never know which chest to go look at to bother a survivor. Or who walked near what chest because you were as Victor. So there's that. But at least with human greed, you can reset the chest. That's a more lenient example. I suppose another example could end up being a bad example is Nurse's Calling. You may not really want Nurse's Calling on twins because if you detect someone's injured nearby healing, you kind of want to interrupt them with Victor, who can get downs really quickly. And then you may think this sounds like a bad idea because I said earlier, like, it takes 2 to tango, it takes 2 to counter twins. Well, twins can kind of, if you know what you're doing, Victor can hide under the down survivor, and the survivor that's still standing could, instead of getting the Victor kick prompt, could get the heal prompt instead, and have a really hard time dealing with Victor right then and there. And then Victor can just follow up if he keeps moving with another down. So he actually has that going for him. Now you can always do that, but again, it still takes, you got to be careful though, because it still takes 2 to counter twins. To counter Victor. So if the survivor gets the right prompt anyway, because it's kind of a gamble, if the survivor manages to get the right prompt, they can still kick you. But on top of that, even if you suspect healing survivors nearby, then you're only going to be able to see the Nurse's Calling value with Charlotte. And then you want a healthy interaction between, a healthy balance between using Charlotte and Victor in a match to succeed. So that's why they require a very distinctive selection of perks. Now, if we go to 46, twins are uniquely good at using the forced perks. They're uniquely good at using forced penance and they uniquely benefit from forced hesitation. You have to wait. But shoot. You have to wait. Okay, she's just hungry. Now, let's see. Forced penance and forced hesitation. So, body blocking, really good at countering twins because if you're healthy, you can take a Victor latch for a survivor that would otherwise go down. Or you can stand in front of a survivor who has Victor on them if you're healthy, and you can prevent Charlotte from capitalizing on Victor's latch. Now, but with forced penance, if they screw up, the survivors can be broken for a really long time, whereas they're really vulnerable to healing, like fast heals. Well, then that sort of drives a nail into being able to heal that quickly against twins. And then, of course, if you're broken, then you create an opportunity. You're an opportunity for Victor to come back out and down you again at a later time, like probably the next minute or so. So you need to watch out. And then on top of that, you're still leaving blood everywhere. Then you got Force Hesitation. Force Hesitation is really good because Victor can slow survivors down and can create that extra bit of time he needs to recover from his pounce if he downs a survivor. And so any nearby survivors are kind of just screwed almost. And being able to kick especially if you give him a specific add-on. It's either the Candelabrum or it's the Biscuit, but you recover from his pounce faster. Just a little bit faster, and then also Force Penance, it just becomes impossible to kick. And then, let's see. Let's go to 47. And 47, hooking perks are anthemic to twins, as Charlotte is needed to do the hooking. So, taking advantage of hooking perks like Pop or Pain Res, Charlotte's going to be out there. It's her job to do the hooking anyway. So, occasional hook perk probably is really essential, really important to maximize the time you spend as Charlotte, and maximize the time you spend out of your power. I am a personal fan of Agitation. I rather like that perk. But your Pain Res, your Pop, other Scourge hooks. Oh, your Barbecue and Chili. One of the few aura perks that works really well in Twins, Barbecue and Chili. Because then that is value you're giving to Charlotte, spending time outside of your power, Charlotte being able to hook people. And you can see where everyone else to go. And then with Barbecue and Chili, if you play your cards right, then you can actually sort of calculate where you can place Victor, where you can hide Charlotte, and set up your next move based on the positions of the other survivors. Not the best users of Barbecue and Chili. No, that title probably goes to Artists, but again, just to show that plethora of hooking perks that Charlotte's is really good at taking advantage of. Or maybe it's just really necessary. That's why I said anthemic, I think. So then you have 48. Now, Victor can protect your hexes. Probably not all of them, but if you got a really important hex you need to watch for, then you can go ahead and leave Victor nearby, and Victor will tell you if someone comes by it, and you can punch someone. But you gotta be careful when you do this, because Victor's only one entity. And so, if the survivors know what they're doing, they can get rid of Victor and grant themselves time to mess with the hex. Or, if, again, it takes 2 to counter twins, so if they have one person, if they send 2 healthy people after the hex, then leaving Victor there is kind of messy, because then you have one person who can just block the Victor, and then it just comes down to, like, can they get rid of him before Charlotte shows up? And now, 49, this was a really fun one I liked doing when the boon meta was really starting. And Victor can be left near a boon to set up for an ambush. I like to joke that I'll leave Victor near a boon because he can do more damage to a boon by accident than I could ever hope on purpose. And if the survivors are constantly running back to the boon, then Victor can be good to set up an ambush, especially if it's like Circle of Healing, because then you have him incapacitating someone, slowing down their ability to reset. But just because they're just out booning out, now they're especially vulnerable to, if you recall, anti-slug players, they're vulnerable to boon exponential. Really bad to go against, and it's so funny. The bane of Twins players is probably boon exponential, but then you have this likely pattern of, if they want to crawl towards boon exponential. If you, in case you somehow lost track of him, you can leave Victor by the boon, and he might be able to detect someone going towards boon exponential, or at least trying to hide out there. Or maybe you just snuffed the boon and you want to leave Victor nearby, and the survivor's going back to it because it's the only totem they know they can find right now, and then boom, all of a sudden they have to contend with Victor being nearby before they can reboon. And this has been a really, really fun journey, I gotta say. I really love listing out my reasons like this, and it's nice just to being able to list out reasons why you like your favorite killer and not really have to stress about, you know, any sort of order, because I've had all kinds of jumbled lists, and it's just been a really amazing journey coming this far and finally knowing what it feels like. It just a few more clicks, knowing what it feels like to call myself a P100 Twins. Now, if we go to level 50 here, I hope I'm not really cheating now saying this, but just personally, why I like Twins, no other killer can replace Twins for me. And I mean, I really enjoy killers like Cake. I really enjoy, I really enjoy Legion. Legion's probably the, Dredge I actually really enjoyed. I thought I was gonna really take off with Dredge, as Dredge and Hattie were like some of the fastest killers I've ever prestiged one, like level P1, not just 100 but P1. No, but no, like I've always come back to Twins. Definitely my favorite killer in the game. No one can replace him for me, and truly the champion S+ tier killers of my heart. And so, with that being said, one more click, and I cement myself to being the dreaded Twins Main. Ah, the crowd goes wild. And let's take a moment here. They hold hands. It really captures this feeling. Anyway, here goes nothing. One more click. Oh, right. One more click. Yeah, this is why I got excess blood points just in case. I forgot this prestige level 100 click. Wish there was more to do when you get prestige 100 character. I really like if I get my own banner or profile for them now, or their own charm. Okay, and count of 3, 2, 1. Boom. And now permanently tier 50 blood webs. Ah, good. More silencing clots. Maybe even more toy swords. Now whenever I need to dump blood webs on killer and get a whole mess of add-ons. This is really great. Crazy. Can't believe how. Almost there, almost there. You have to wait another 30 minutes for your dinner, okay? Now. Oh, here's that gross cat's eye I was talking about. Their fingernails. Little Victor's tiny fingernails. Toy sword. Wonder where I'll go from here. Like, again, I'm still really proud. Consider myself a Twins main. If I had to pick another killer, the next killer to P100, probably Trapper. Because I really do. Again, Trapper's one of those other killers I enjoy. Guilty pleasure. It's not fun being a Trapper enjoyer, but it's hilarious. Anyway. Can't wait to see where my P100 Twins adventures go next. Alright. I'm already calling myself P100 Twins Main. Awesome. Alright. Time to check the recording. And now might be a good time to say peace. Or Well, actually, I can go ahead and say something a little more. Okay, I think I found one I want to settle on. So, let's see. Shh. Now, try to remember, okay, Wanderers, try to remember. Enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. And there's whatever darkness you're going through, know that you have what it takes to endure it. You don't have to be enthusiastic about it, don't get me wrong, but know that you have what it takes to endure it. And I am rooting for it. Thank you.